least I hope we are. Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day. I will say that I have a little bit of Jeffrey Epstein uh, news. I don't know if you saw this. Welcome to the Thursday edition of At the Mic, where we do a deep dive. Got a lot of questions for my guest, who I will get to momentarily. But of course, the breaking news of the Epstein files, if you haven't heard, going to be released. I think noon Eastern. I saw. Is that right? Hell, I don't know which phone was I looking at. I don't even know anymore. So there it is. I swear, I have 3 phones: a tablet, a laptop, and 2 more laptops. Now I'm not using all of them at the same time. My brain can barely handle one, as you are probably well aware. And but I did see something just a moment ago. Right, it said noon Eastern. So that's tomorrow, and I guess it's going to be phase 1. It's probably going to be an address book. It's probably not going to be much. And then I just saw where Pam Bondi has sent a letter to Kash Patel at the FBI saying, yo, your agency is holding back some info from me on the Epstein stuff. So to recap, Representative Anna Paulina Luna going after Pam, well, not going after, but, you know, a little bit of headbutting there in public with AG Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi going to Kash Patel, hey, what's up? I mean, we know that they've shredded all these documents, right? So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting as this thing unfolds. But going to be a fun day tomorrow, I think, for a lot of people. Okay, and I think tomorrow doesn't do anything, but just says, hey, here's who's in his Rolodex. I'm sorry, for those young people. That means anyone that's anyone other than me. That's like the black book. Okay, so it's yeah, gonna be a bunch of names, gonna be a bunch of nothing. That's not even gonna be anything tomorrow. That's what I'm afraid of. Okay, Instagram, Gabby hard at work, making so many great videos. I'm so grateful for her. You can follow her on X at Jeffy Apologist. But she has, I mean, on her own volition, started At the Mic over on Instagram, where she is putting up all sorts of fun stuff. Thank you so much, Gabby. That is so kind of you to do that. You, of course, got the YouTube channel, youtube.com/at the mic. No, it's at the mic. You got to do the little at sign. Don't forget. So there's that. What else we got here? Boy, I hope we're live on YouTube right now. It doesn't look like we are. Uh-oh. Maybe we are. Somebody let me know. Oh, no. Hang on. I see everybody waiting over there. I'm so sorry. I'm trying. Dang it. Let's see here. YouTube. Oh, it's not the YouTube channel isn't coming up here. Dang, y'all. I'm so sorry. Oh, my goodness. What a mess. I don't know. Let me inform everybody over there that to go to Twitter here. Let's see. Go to Twitter. We are just on top of it over here. So everybody that is visiting us, courtesy of Rebecca's tweet, this is what you get over here. Bunch of chaos every Thursday and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So there you go. YouTube.com/at the mic. Pointless today, but that's where the live chat is happening. So thanks, y'all. Hi, I see you over there. And don't forget, Wes, his wife, Victoria is battling ovarian cancer. GiveSendGo.com/Victoria Strong. Y'all have been so generous over there giving to her battle against the wretched thing that is cancer. And he posted a nice message, a thank you message over on his Twitter, which is at that guy at PGU. You getting all this? I tell you, come with a pen and paper every time we do this. And if you want the audio version of this podcast, at the mic.transistor.fm. And there you go. All right, that's enough babbling. My goodness. I better get my guest on here. She's going to disconnect and go live her life. Because she's in Norway, where it's getting late. What time is it there? What time is it?
It is 6 minutes past 9.
9 p.m. Okay, so you're 7 hours ahead of Dallas, Texas. So thanks for making time. I appreciate you joining us to talk about this. Oh boy, this is a deep dive here. Before I start, follow her at it's Mistereggen. Did I pronounce that right?
That is correct, Keith.
Okay. Document Media over in Norway. I saw a tweet of yours the other day, and I love this. Please, this is such a great point you made. You tweeted out, "Good morning, X. I did an experiment this morning. I asked ChatGPT and Grok to summarize today's top news. And you say, ChatGPT gave you climate change, Grok gave you actual news. So before we started this conversation, the deep dive is based on the Islamization of Europe, a place where you were born and raised in Norway. And so you've seen it your entire life. And I thought before we started, you know what? I'm going to do her experiment. I'm going to go to ChatGPT and ask the question about, tell me about immigration in Europe. And I'm going to go to Grok and say, tell me about immigration in Europe. And I took some, I wrote down a couple of bullet points here. Grok was very succinct. It was like 4 or 5 paragraphs. ChatGPT had 9 bullet points, and these were big these weren't little one-line deals. These were chunks. And a lot of the reasoning for why immigration is out of control in Europe, it blamed Brexit. ChatGPT blamed climate change. Let's see. It was one leftist explanation after another. Both actually did focus on the European Union. And before I turn the floor over to you, I want to tell you about the epiphany that I had today ahead of this conversation. I wasn't even thinking about prepping for this. It hit me. I've always thought that Europe going the socialist route. So if you really want to unwind this and you want to go back to post-World War II and NATO, I always thought, okay, Europe can sit back and they can let the United States of America handle the defense. And then Europe can use its money to push socialism and socialist causes, universal health care, and so on. And in order to pay for that, Europe needs to open the immigration floodgates for cheap labor to continue to fund these social programs. Then, yeah, I know, you're going to set me straight on all this. I know. This is my theory. But then today it hit me. Something Donald Trump said yesterday, where he said that the purpose of the European Union was to screw the U.S. And then I got to thinking, holy crap, yeah, that's, okay, yes. And then in order to do that, the EU, trying to become an economic match to the United States, therefore needs to import the cheap labor, open the immigration floodgates to the third world. And before you know it, your continent has effectively been conquered in a way that hasn't. Poor Charles Martel, okay? The year 732, Charles Martel saved Europe and all of the West by defeating the Muslim invasion, but it feels like all of that is crumbling away. I've set this up. Now, set me straight from your perspective, because I know, Rebecca, that you have been following this so closely. The way you document what is happening to Europe, it's tragic.
It is very tragic. First of all, cheap labor. What labor? The European Union made sure to kill all industry. Have you seen them been crying about the 20%, 25% tax that Trump is now imposing on the EU? Isn't it funny that just a couple of years ago or last year or whenever it was, they were talking about this carbon toll because they wanted to or carbon tax for other industries because they wanted to protect Europe's green industry. Australia went they went bonkers for this because Europe wanted protected green steel production, which is just.
What is green steel production?
It is just produced in a way that makes it way more expensive. It's the same freaking steel, okay? But anyway, that tax is okay to protect Europe. Norway has had this sort of import tax for forever to protect our farmers. But when Donald Trump says something about this, then he's the evil Hitler. So that's Europe. We don't have our car industries inside the European Union, Germany and Italy. It's crashing. Where are you going to go get labor? Where are you going to get a job, Keith? There's no jobs. We're all supposed to be living off anti-racism and cutting each other's hair while we're being tolerant. Like that's the EU today. And frankly, if they were concerned about birth rates and population of the European countries, they would have done as Hungary did. They would say, well, two children, you don't have to pay tax for the rest of your life. That would stimulate people to have families. They would make policies that makes you want to have babies. What do they do instead? They make it really hard to survive on one salary. It's not in Norway, that's not possible whatsoever unless you're like you own a big business. Even small businesses here are struggling to survive because I don't know if you're aware, but with our labor government, taxes has gone through the roof. They even have an exit tax now because the rich people, the innovative people of Norway, they all escaped to Switzerland because of the high taxes. And then when they escaped, they were like, wait, we're losing money in tax now because all the rich people are gone. So we're going to create an exit tax. So if you come here, create something, and you leave, you have to tax to Norway an exit tax. If that's not socialism to you, I don't know what is.
Okay, so yeah, yeah, that's definitely so. Okay, so I want to back up just a moment here because people move around, immigration happens, cultures change, but it feels like right now you have a situation where one population and one culture is being destroyed, but by its own government policies.
Yes.
That's the difference this
Yes.
time. It's
That's
not an
exactly
invasion
what-
per se. It's an invitation.
Yes.
And I just cannot help me from the outside looking in to get into the mindset of a politician in Europe that seems to be embracing this destruction.
I would love to get you into that mindset, but to be frank with you, Keith, I can't because I have no idea what goes on in these people's heads. They live in a different, like what's the word for that in English? When you had monarchy and you had all these little, I tend to call them little popes, controlling their area and
Yeah.
yeah, like
Earls
princes, yeah, earls and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we've
Lords.
gone lords. We've gone back to that. That's what we are right now. That's Europe right now.
So that's Europe. So in other words, under the EU blanket that I guess has been here for, gosh, I remember reading about. I mean, it's been a quarter of a century at this point, right? More than that, right? It's been probably 30 years that the EU's been a thing. I don't know exactly when. Back in the 90s. First of all, is Donald Trump correct in saying the whole purpose of the EU was to screw over the U.S.?
I don't know if I can support that statement per se. I think oh God, I'm gonna be so politically incorrect. Like I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Embrace. Hold on to your hat, Keith. Because if the EU is anything, it is Hitler's wet dream come true. That's what it is. We're back there.
My dog's barking in the background almost make it fit even more perfectly what you just said,
Because you see the EU was supposed to be a trade union, right? We were supposed to trade and make peace and all that stuff. What it's become is the USSR. It's a centralized European version of the Soviet Union. They control little details in your life. They're wrecking our industry. There's nothing left. And they opened the floodgates for and frankly, to be honest with you, this is my theory on why this has happened. Because I think that Europe, when I say Europe, I mean the European Union, okay? So I think that Europe wants to incorporate North Africa into their trade in some sort of way. There must be resources or something that they want because they make these agreements with the North African countries, and Ursula von der Leyen has been out talking about this several times on how they want to make visa routes for North Africans and how we can make everything work together. So that just gives me the heebie-jeebies. There's something there that I can't say for sure what it is, but it's something there.
Okay, so in America, and we have college football, and you have conferences. So parts of the nation, different regions have their own conferences. So you're saying that, and they expand, and now you have some conferences that literally expand. Big Ten from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. So, for lack of a better analogy, it just sounds like maybe European Union expansion has gotten out of control to the point
Yes.
where there isn't this common bond that European nations, because that was what's so cool about Europe, is that yes, you were all on the same continent, but you all had your individual cultures. And that's what makes
Right.
Epcot so cool, when you walk around and you're like, oh, now I'm in Italy, oh, now I'm in Greece, now I'm in Norway.
Isn't
But
it funny what propaganda does to your brain? Like you come to Europe and you tell us the most diverse continent on planet Earth. To tell us to be diverse, we need immigration to be diverse. Now every single shithole of Europe is the same shithole. It's not diverse. It's Islamicized. It's Islam all over. It's shitholes. When
because
you
that
look at Brussels, when you look at the capital cities, look at Berlin, look at Stockholm. Sweden had 31 bombings in January alone, okay? 31 bombings. What did Germany have this past month?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I this is just in the last week, and this is just from what I've seen without having a Google News alert or without really being in tune to what's happening in Europe. We've got, and this is just in the past, this is since JD Vance. And again, I'm sure that there's been more. So JD Vance was there, what was
Give
it,
us
2 weeks?
JD Vance, please. Yes.
You're not, no, you will not take JD Vance from us. So we had the mom and the daughter who were run down in Munich while he was there. We've got German police, and I got this one is from your feed. German police on high alert after Islamic State calls for carnival attacks in Germany. You've got Muslim Council of Britain warns that halal ban could drive Muslims out of the UK. Now that's actually we'll come back to that one. That one I think I took that one out of the wrong stack. That's fun. We got to talk about that one. So okay, it's a culture of death that is being imported.
Yes.
That's the difference. Yeah, sure, you can do your conference expansion, Europe. You can get into Northern Africa, but understand that you're now importing, you're now borderless with a culture that has no problem in so many areas with death. And you just talked about the bombings and stuff. We have got to talk about the transformation of places like, oh gosh, what, I can't think of which Scandinavian nation. I should have written this down. The violent crime rate.
Sweden.
Sweden. Okay, yeah, I think yes, of course. Sweden has in the last 20 years. What has happened to crime in that nation? How is it that and I know that your leaders over there see this. Is it just political correctness? Is that the only reason that they are so hell bent on protecting this class of people that are coming in and doing this? I mean, there's a common denominator here, and it ain't the native borns.
No, it's not. And what it is that is the core of this, I don't know. But as I said, like you if you can convince Europeans that you need immigration to be tolerant and diverse in the most diverse continent on earth, you can convince them of anything. Because if you look at Macron in France, what he said is have this dream about a European army, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in what language are those soldiers going to take commands? Like, have somebody thought about this? Because I don't think they have. That's the first thing. And second thing, Sweden, yes. Sweden is no longer Sweden. There's more immigrants. There's over 50% immigrants in several cities. There's over 60 no-go zones, okay?
Whoa.
Over
Say that again. Over 60 no-go zones in Sweden alone.
Yes.
And explain what a no zone is, because this is so important.
The police don't go in there because
don't go in there.
No, and I think it was a couple of years ago, the clans, because they call them Swedish gangs. They're not Swedish gangs. These are Middle Eastern clans, and they put out a curfew for the residents in their area. They're out with guns. Like this is not a joke. This is bad crime. This comes from the Middle East. I don't know if you caught that thing. Was it last year? Excuse my brain. There's a lot of immigrant crime information
right,
in there.
exactly. It's hard to keep straight every country and every crime because there's so much of it.
But one of these clan members escaped to Baghdad. Okay? He got shot to death in Baghdad on the street. And the Iraqi government was like, we don't want Swedish conditions here. Like, when Sweden's worse than Baghdad, like, we have our own problems. Like, take your Swedes back. Oh, that's bad.
So hold on.
That's how bad it is.
To recap, the people that are causing the chaos in Sweden go to Baghdad, Iraq, cause trouble. Well, yeah, get involved in trouble there. And Iraq says, keep your Swedes out of our country, Iraq.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
I'm not joking. And we had a politician from our progressive party. She went over to one of the suburbs of Stockholm, I think it was. Or was it Malmö? I can't remember correctly. Rosengård, I think it's called Rosengård. And she came, like, they did interviews there. She came back and she said, you know, we got to make sure that Norway doesn't turn into Sweden. We don't want Swedish conditions. Right. What happened was that all politicians went completely nuts. They're like, there's no such thing as Swedish conditions. You're just a racist. Blah, blah, blah. Nazi racist, Nazi racist.
Of course, yes.
And now all the politicians are like, well, we warned you about Swedish conditions. Like, we don't even need that anymore. We have Norwegian conditions. What are you talking about? People get shot here, stabbed here. A 16-year-old boy stabbed another 16-year-old boy to death. Do you think he got a sentence? No. There's child soldiers in Sweden. They're hired in Denmark and Norway and other countries to commit murder. Do you know why? Because they don't get sentenced. And now there's a huge debate going on in Sweden about lowering the age for crime. Like, how young can you put them in jail? They're talking about 14 years old for serious crime. And even that's meeting resistance. Like, when you don't want to lock up children who kill children, I don't know what's wrong with you, but there's something seriously wrong with you.
Okay, that's the other thing. There never seems to be any repercussions, any long-term serious punishment and sentences for these crimes. What?
No.
It's chaos. It's a society that is lawless, and it just appears that way.
If you're a Muslim.
If you're a Muslim. If you're a Muslim.
Thank
you. There are two. Okay. Yes. You got a two-tier justice system there, do you, Rebecca?
Yes. Yes, we do. It's not only the UK that has a two-tier justice system. We have as well. We have two-tier policing here. I don't know if you caught the case. This is not a... it's serious enough, if you ask me. But in terms of, like, it's not murder. But we had... so some years ago, we got a new law. It's paragraph 185. It's called the racism or racist law, hate speech law. So, of a matter of fact, you can be racist to any minority, including gay trans people, but you cannot be racist to the majority population, that be a white, normal person, okay? That's not possible. So what happened was this youth gang of immigrants that have been terrorizing this whole area outside of Oslo. They've been threatening the staff in the grocery store there to rape them. They've been selling drugs. They've shown up to parties that they weren't invited to with machetes, high on coke, threatening to kill people. You know, that sort of thing. Violence. This older man was walking his dog, He comes upon this gang outside the grocery store and he tells them to behave like any normal person would do. Like if you're being loud or rude, you correct them, right?
Like a
People are,
normal society would do.
yes, he corrected them. What happened was he got knocked out, but it all happened on video, right? And so the police was not going to investigate this case, but the heat from the press got to be too much. So they reopened the case. Turns out this violent kid. It's not really a kid, if you ask me. If you're knocking people out, you're adult enough to take your punishment. Anyway, he had a rap sheet, obviously. And he said it was because the older man was racist, which turned out not to be true, by the way. And in the midst of this, the community came together and they said, well, we want to have a parade against violence. You know what happened?
I'm afraid to hear the rest of the story.
Antifa mobilized and said that all these people were racist. They had to cancel the parade because it was too much noise. And then the day of when this parade was supposed to happen, somebody had graffitied the church to say, kill white people. So I contacted the police department and I asked what kind of hate crime they were investigating.
Sure.
They weren't investigating no hate crime. They were investigating vandalism. So if I went to a mosque and I wrote kill Muslims, do you think that would be considered vandalism? No. No.
You talked about the churches there, and it flashed into my mind what's happening in Britain, where the churches are being shelled out and turned into mosques. I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, it just occurred to me when you were talking about the. But anyway, continue, please.
Yeah, well, we have Muslims running, 1,000-year-old tradition with our church in Trondheim. So,
What's
you
that?
know, we have a huge tradition in oh God, what's the name of the church? Oh, I can't remember it. Nidarosdomen. It's a cathedral we have in that we have in Trondheim. And every year there is, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a long-standing 1,000-year-old tradition. They say it's not Christian, but it is Christian. And now all of a sudden, the people that are leading this every year are Muslims, and they always focus on immigration and the poor children of Gaza and all that bullshit. It's like, it has nothing to do with that. It's a Viking heritage. Like, leave us alone. But it's not. They still do it. And they're allowed to. Actually, in fact, one of my coworkers with Document wrote a long piece on this. And this Syrian man that came to Norway, we don't really know when because there's discrepancies. But anyway, he was leading this last year, 2024. And pointed out that, he posted on Facebook like, oh, so great to be on holiday in my homeland, Syria. So he reported us for, there's a kind of like a little court for press here. Like you can report if you're not satisfied that we followed the rules of ethics, right? We got the notion back today that we're not being... Well, we were freed, basically, because we did nothing wrong. But yeah, he was saying it was racism because we showed that he went on holiday to Syria and that he's a Muslim leading a Christian tradition.
But he posted it.
Yeah.
Publicly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what we have to deal with. And we had a situation last summer as well where... Was it three men aged 17 through 21 or something? They stabbed a gay couple in Oslo. And at first we wasn't sure what happened, but it's always interesting to see what happens when two minorities clash. Because it creates this like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Because they think that, the gay parade and id can go together. It can't, by the way, if you're wondering. It can't.
What's the hierarchy over in Europe on on hate crimes? In other words, so does the government side with the Muslims
Yes.
before they sub? Okay, I figured. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
That
all
is
right.
the general thing. I don't know if you caught that, but I was in a wedding this summer for one of the party leaders in Sweden. I had my photo taken with Ebba Busch, and that really like the Swedish press. Apparently,
Uh
I'm
oh.
a known Nordic right-wing extremist.
Oh, that's awesome! Did you make a T-shirt that says that?
I should, shouldn't I?
Oh yeah, known Nordic right wing extremist.
Yeah,
Oh, and then the
yeah.
arrow pointing up to you. That's
I wasn't known before they started that shit, but now I am.
awesome. Okay. So, all right. My goodness. So, okay. I keep saying I want to go back here. When did this? Because I gave you at the onset. I gave you my theory as to how this all happened. Um, it doesn't exactly line up with what you had said. So, but when did this start? Like, when did Europe begin to get conquered by the third world?
Oh, it's a good question. So I think late 60s. I'm gonna see if I can
Really?
find
We're going
my.
back that far?
Yes. Oh God, I did write a document about this. I'm
Oh,
just gonna see if I
all
can
right. Yeah, take your time.
find it. Because the first Pakistanis that came to Norway came late 60s. 68, I think. And going through the archive is.
But they weren't blowing up city centers back then, right?
No, 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 no. They were not. I need to find this document because the
Okay.
numbers will shock
Uh huh.
you. Let's see if I can find it. This Mac.
Yeah, you do that.
Um,
Because as you're looking for that, you know, I thought this has only been going on for the last 20 years, and then today I thought, oh well, if it started with the EU trying to sustain itself, like I said, with the cheap labor, then all right, maybe it goes back to the 90s. But no, you're saying that this actually goes back to the late 60s. I mean, is and while you're looking for that, I'm just going to throw this out there. Is Europe, is it salvageable? Has it been conquered? Is there any great hope on the horizon for that continent, or is it going to be country by country, town by town that's going to save itself?
I think it's going to be country by country. I think the only way for Europe to save itself is for the EU to dissolve. The EU has done nothing good for Europe, for the nation states at all. On the contrary, it's turning into the Soviet Union. It already has in many ways. And as long as that hold, like those elites hold and have everyone wrapped up,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is a way for Europe to salvage itself. It needs to be, it needs to come from the small towns in the nation states. That's why they're hating on local democracy. That's why they're hating on the family. That's why I guess wokeism is so important, because if you divide and conquer people into, like, you say that you want to have a community of everybody and everybody being tolerant and everything like that, but governments and the EU keep making minorities. Like, why would you need minorities? Yeah, you need them to divide and conquer,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you. So it's almost like you said, it's balkanization, but it's with a twist, and you've got an invasion happening at the same time. Do me a
Yeah,
favor. I'm gonna pause for a second. Do you have a pen and paper there?
I do.
Okay, I want you to write down. Don't tell us yet, but write down off the top of your head 5 European nations, the ones that are worse off under this threat of radical Islam coming in and doing what it's been doing to that continent. 5 nations, and then when you're done coming up with the 5 that are the worst off, I want you to rank them. Let's count it down 5 to 1 from the best case scenario of the 5 to the worst. And I have a hunch as to who number 1's going to be. No, it's 1 and 2. Okay, so I'm gonna write down. I'm gonna write down on my whiteboard, my magic whiteboard. I'm gonna write down from my perspective. Maybe I'll do that. Let me write down 5 nations, just like I asked you, and then I'll rank them. And this is just my outside looking in. Oh my gosh, ranking these is gonna be tough. Let me do that real quick. So 1 is gonna be the worst. Let's see. I think we got a 2 there. We got a 3 there. Okay, so let's see if our 5, and you can do this at home. If you're watching right now, think of 5 European nations, and let's see if the chick in Norway has the same ranking as the rest of. Oh, there's our other show. That was a few months ago. There, that was with Foundering. So you can see that it's a double-sided whiteboard. I didn't even realize I had this back here. That's the scale of 9/11. But anyway, okay, so here we go. All right, the 5th worst off European nation when it comes to battling Islam in their cities and towns.
I only put down 4. That was everything I could think of.
That's fine. Okay, so what do you? Okay, so number 4 then.
Belgium.
Belgium. Okay, Belgium. Coming in at number 3.
France.
France. Number 2. Worst case scenario. Huh? Go ahead.
Sweden.
Sweden. And which European nation is the worst off when it comes to battling the effects of radical Islam?
Germany.
Germany. Okay, so here's my list. I put number 5. I put Norway. No.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean,
That's
we
your,
had.
I mean, that's your town. That's your country there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 4. I put Sweden. Number 3. I put France. Number 2. I put Germany. Number 1. I put Britain.
Oh, I didn't think of Britain as a part of Europe, though, because of Brexit. And saying that is funny, isn't it? Because Britain would be my number 1 in that case, and everything would be pushed down. But it's funny they say Brexit is the reason for migration. They were sending boats over there long before they Brexited.
Right.
Like, don't give me that bullshit. You know, they've been screwed longer than any of us. They have over 100 Sharia courts.
So that's an interesting fact. In Great Britain, they have over 100 Sharia courts.
Yes. So, we wrote a...
but don't post a meme. Don't you dare post a meme.
Oh, no. There's more people in prison for using their freedom of expression in the UK than there is in Russia. Okay? That's the reality. There are more people in prison or being prosecuted for using their freedom of expression in the UK than there is in Russia.
I mean, this is where we're at, y'all.
So, in December, we wrote an article about the Sharia laws taking over the UK. Okay, that's happening. It was a big reveal that showed that around 100,000 marriages in the UK is being regulated by Sharia courts.
Again, I ask you to repeat these fun facts.
100,000 marriages in the UK are being regulated by Sharia courts.
Everything's fine, Rebecca. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what we're told. Everything's fine. Just be tolerant, and you gotta accept your new neighbors, even though they want to slaughter you. But that's fine.
So in the United States, we have a fun little thing that we glance at every now and then in a museum. It's called the U.S. Constitution. And that is supposed to stop things like Sharia law or no-go zones. I just wonder, is there anything, is it the EU or each of the nation states? Like, are there any, is there anything in place that is supposed to, at least in theory, stop this kind of separatism within your own borders?
No, I mean, they override everything. We're not supposed to give up our resources. We're not allowed, according to our constitutions, to divide our country into bits and pieces and give it away or sell it, but we're doing it. Look at what happened to our energy resources. We have had hydropower for about 100 years. We had the best opportunity for industry. In Europe, we could provide, and we still can if we pull out, provide very, very cheap energy to anybody that wants to come to Norway and create. Okay. What did we do, you ask? Well, in the 90s, we put it on the stock market and we joined the EU's the EU energy packet. Then Acer came along. What happened to the Norwegian prices? We pay European prices because Germany decided to put down their energy and say, well, we're going to live off wind power, which you know is impossible, right? And then made themselves completely dependent on Russian gas, and then they started hating on Russia. So what happened then? Well, they didn't have anything. Norway has the gas. We provide the EU now. But
I just
instead
want to apologize on behalf of my government for blowing up that pipeline.
I think we were in on it, so
Yes,
you
I know
know.
you are too. That's fair.
We're releasing a book about it anytime soon now. But anyway, back to the topic. Like, this is what we're doing. We're dividing up the country and we're giving it to the EU. The only reason the EU wants Norway is because of our oil, gas, and our hydropower. There's no other reason, and our fish. So, you know, we're paying millions upon millions upon millions for not being a member. We're not a member state. We are a colony. We're a resource colony for the EU.
Yeah.
If we had grown-ups in our parliament when the EU comes to threaten us with any like tolls or taxes or anything like that, you know what I would do, Keith? I would say, "Oh, that's cute. I'm just gonna turn off the gas tap. Good luck."
Yes. That's the thing. Europe is so tight at the hip with and everything with each other, and you can see why Great Britain would have said, "Yeah, we're leaving now." But the problem is, Great Britain isn't doing anything better, even though they're individual from the rest of the European Union. And by the way, I did find my list here. I wanna hit this real quick if I can. I found my list of just recent big events here out of Europe, and this is what I was referring to earlier. That just as a casual observer, you would think that if I'm preparing for this conversation, that I would have done a better job, but in gone and actually looking for this. But I didn't even go looking for this. It's just stuff that came up in my feed. Mother and daughter run down in Munich while Vance was there. I mentioned that. A Berlin stabbing suspect revealed to be a 19-year-old asylum seeker from Syria. Let's see. An Islamist terrorist went on a knife attack in France, killing one and injuring multiple others, reportedly shouting Allahu Akbar during the attack. He, by the way, is an asylum seeker from Algeria. So those are just three things came across my news feed in the last couple of weeks. I just cannot understand. And by the way, I have the same criticism for the United States of America and our citizens here for various things. But I cannot believe with this kind of constant onslaught, how is it that every right-thinking German, Norwegian, Swede, and I know that these rallies are happening, but how big is this pushback? How big are the crowds in the streets? How are governments even listening? Do they care at
They don't care.
all?
Well, they do care, Keith, because they're hysterical, right? So they do care because they see that they're losing momentum. They see the popular vote in elections. So the problem is with a lot of the election systems in different European nations, you can strategize to keep power, and that's what they're doing. So the popular vote is leaning right, right? And in terms of Germany, I don't know. If I was German, I would be pissed right now. I would be so angry at those idiots on the west side of the wall voting for communism. Because just let's be honest. Let's rebuild the the
I
wall.
noticed that. I noticed that. It's fascinating. And this happens in Eastern Europe time after time after time. The people who lived under the Iron Curtain and lived under communism
Yeah.
realize how precious freedom is. And I looked at the map from Germany from over the weekend, and you're exactly right. Right where the line for East Germany and West Germany was drawn, the East Germans, the voters said, "This sucks. We're voting for common sense, y'all." The West Germans said, "What's the problem, y'all?" It's fascinating to watch this, but when the politicians respond to what's happening to their countries and to Europe writ large, it's it's sickening that the reactionary laws that they come up with have nothing to do with the actual problem. They're going after free speech. I just
Yes,
don't understand this
there
suicide
is
pact in
laws
itself.
in place. They're just not using them, Keith. And you could like look at Zuckerberg. Suck my berg. He saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that I censored everybody during COVID. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to do that again." Well, Mark Zuckerberg, if you're serious about your apology, you would go up against the European Union, which you're not, because we still have those shitty fact-checking bullshit over
Really?
here,
Oh
okay?
my
He's not
gosh.
doing shit about it. It's
Wow.
all talk, talk, talk.
So
He
it
doesn't have a spine.
I mean, we all knew that he just wanted to be on the winning team, and so he cuddled up to Trump. But that's
That's
fascinating.
yeah.
It was strictly just an American
Yes.
thing for
Yeah.
him. It wasn't a larger free speech thing that also extends into Europe.
No
That guy is
spine.
a piece of
No
work.
spine. No morals. No spine. They're working on uh, more excessive censorship in the European Union as well. What is it called? Digital Service Act. Like they're really trying, going after X. They're going after Elon Musk. Like who are they not going after? We had a Norwegian guy. He was tweeting because when all these politicians, including our prime minister, started to say, "Well, oh, you have billionaires interfering. They're interfering in elections and in politics." Well, what the fuck was Bezos doing? Like, are you kidding me? And Bill Gates? You had a meeting with him not too long ago, and you're going to talk about billionaires? Like, who are you trying to fool? It's all glitz and glams and fun and great when Bill Gates rolling out the red carpet, giving him billions from our pension fund to
Oh.
fund his fucked up ideas, and you're talking about Musk interfering in your policies? Fuck off.
I want to
Seriously.
read this. I want to read this tweet yesterday from Jeff Bezos. You brought him up.
Yeah.
Did you read this? Do you know this?
No, no, I haven't read the tweet, no, but he
I want
did
I,
change. Yeah.
I want to see what your reaction is to this. Jeff Bezos tweeted out yesterday. I shared this note with the Washington Post team this morning. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to the reader's doorstep every morning a broad based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. I am of America and for America, and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical, and a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical, it minimizes coercion, and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. I offered David Shipley, whom I greatly admire, the opportunity to lead this new chapter. I suggested to him that if the answer wasn't hell yes, then it had to be no. After careful consideration, David decided to step away. This is a significant shift. It won't be easy, and it will require 100% commitment. I respect his decision. We'll be searching for a new opinion editor to own this new direction. I'm confident that free markets and personal liberties are right for America. I also believe these viewpoints are underserved in the current market of ideas and news opinion. I'm excited for us together to fill that void. What are your thoughts about that?
Is he just a kiss ass?
I think he's just like Zuckerberg in this.
Yeah, I do as well. Like, there's no what he's been if he had any balls on him, like he wouldn't have been doing that in the first place.
He lost those in the divorce, if you recall. So hold on, how much? Okay, I really don't know this, and maybe you don't either. We know that Facebook. We know that they are present in America and Europe. You just explained to us something that I didn't even think about. In America, Zuckerberg is seeing the light now, I guess. In America, obviously, he's just, as you say, a kiss ass for Trump.
Mhm.
In Europe, it's business as usual as far as censorship goes. Um, I assume Amazon is big over there. Yes. Do we? No. No. Okay.
Like for my personal,
I'm just trying to figure out if he has much
so
of
we don't have like that Amazon delivery system that you guys have.
Oh,
So for me to if I order something from Amazon, it's gonna take the same time if I order from some other
okay.
online
I got you.
shop. Like
Okay.
I don't know what it's like in the rest of Europe, but in
Mhm.
Norway, it's not. My impression is that it's not a big thing.
Okay. So, boy,
At least it's not for me. I can only speak for myself.
sure. Is X what's happening with Elon Musk and X in Europe as far as free speech? I guess
Well, they're trying to get him. They have an investigation going into X, right? They want to censor X. Like I told you, we had a Norwegian, what's his name? Oh God, if you're listening, please make yourself known in the comments. He lives in Germany. He's Norwegian. He posted a meme of Bill Gates and our prime minister saying that Elon Musk is interfering in policies. And then they were so outraged by this because they were caught with their pants down, right? And then because the picture and the meme text wasn't something that Bill Gates and our prime minister were discussing as it implied in the text, but the fact that, like I said, we roll out the carpet for Bill Gates, we give them billions upon billions upon billions to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and all his fucking vaccine work and all that, like billions, Keith.
I
But yeah,
yeah.
then they got so hysterical that they took this tweet to the European Union and wanted to include it in the investigation of Musk. I am not shitting you. This is how bad it is here.
When we complain over here in the United States, we would be well to
Oh,
remember what's happening in Europe.
I don't know if they maybe they are getting rid of the fact checkers on Facebook because when I think about it, we have a fact checking service which is a part of the greater fact checking service and they're all in the same club under the CNN umbrella or what I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, and you're gonna laugh when I tell you what they're called. They're called Faktis.no.
I'm sorry. What was this?
Faktis.no. Faktisk.
I know I'm hearing
It sounds
it.
like fuck this, and it's
I
because it is fuck this. Anyway, they were really frustrated.
We're breaking records today, y'all.
They were really upset about this whole Facebook thing, and they're not doing too well either. They haven't for a while. So what they came up with now is that they're going to create a center.
Oh no!
Not a website
Wait.
anymore. A center.
Wait, when you
for
centralize
critical.
anything, it gets worse. Oh no.
Yes, that's Norway for you. It's censorship. But I want to go back to you asked me about Europe, and I thought of a case which popped up when you were listing Islamic terror. There was a case today that happened.
Is there a case every? I'm not being facetious. How frequent? And you can take the entire continent, the entire EU, if you'd like.
Every day.
It's
There's something
such a
every day.
It's a terror attack. Grok, come here, Grok. Where's my
So
phone?
if you look at, and I'm sorry I didn't send you this, but if you look at this, no, where did I put that? Did I put that
We're both
here?
looking up stuff at the same time. Bad timing.
So there's a lot of non-specific terrorism-related arrests in the EU. But you must keep in mind that they try to keep Islam out of the picture. Oh, if they can, they will, right? So there's a
Yes.
lot of, like I said, they call it non-specific, okay? And we're all like scared to death of the right wing, but if you look at, how can I send you this picture? It's all these dots right here.
How you
Is
sending this?
absolutely ridiculous. From 2010 to 2019.
Okay.
Can I put this anywhere?
Okay. Is this going to be a screen share or something, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I can send you the link in the
Yeah,
chat,
and I'll hold it
maybe.
up. That's oh gosh.
Studio
Oh,
chat.
Let me check
Here
the
you go.
studio
If you
chat.
go to the picture with the dots,
Okay.
you can see that right-wing terrorism is very little. So is other.
Okay.
Nationalists and separatists, I don't know what they put in there, but hadiths religious inspired are the biggest, and the non-specified.
All right, hang on, I'm getting there. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. I accept yes, whatever. What did I just accept to? Okay,
A
is this
little further down, further
okay?
down.
Go further down. All right, tell me.
Look at
Okay.
that.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so we're looking at let me see. Okay, you see the years at the bottom, and the top row is jihadist or religiously inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it maxed out in 2017. It's been getting better, according to this chart from the EU.
But you can see that the non-specified is getting bigger when that is getting better.
Look at this. Okay, top row, jihad, religious. Bottom row, non. I see your point. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
what's happening here though? Is it 2021? What's this all about?
The 2021, what happened in 2021?
Lockdown time, right? No,
But what right-wing terrorist attack happened in 2021?
right-wing terrorist attack. What country?
This is Europe.
Yeah, but is
So-
there a specific country that I need to be remembering?
I don't remember. Honestly,
Okay.
there's so much going on every day that your brain gets kind of tired, right? Because I was going to tell you that today, two Afghan brothers, they were convicted of planning a terrorist attack against the Swedish parliament. And you want to guess where they live?
Your neighborhood?
Germany.
Germany, of course.
And they wanted to blow up. Blow up? Let me see. No, I'm sorry. They wanted to shoot and kill police and civilians near the parliament in Sweden because they wanted revenge for people burning the Quran. We have a lot of Quran burnings here in Scandinavia. That's kind of a thing here. I don't think that's a thing in the US, but it's a thing here.
Burning the Quran. Yeah. How
Yeah.
does that go over?
It's usually you get confirmed what your suspicion is. So this
It's a
book,
violent reaction.
very violent reaction, yes. 3 years ago, we have a group in Norway called Stop Islamization of Norway. They burned a Quran in one of the immigrant areas in Oslo. They got chased by two women in a car that pulled knives on them and then pushed them off the road. So the car flipped, and one of the people with this organization broke her back. They could all have died. This was on the highway in the middle of the day. But were they convicted of attempted murder, do you think? Or terrorism? No.
Did they get a speeding ticket? Is that what it was?
They got a little more than that, but then, they claim victim. So
Yeah.
that's usually what happens.
And
But
I don't. And I'm going to ask you here in a moment to give me your prediction for what Europe looks like, say 5, 10, 20 years out. But I just feel like they've gone from having allies in the government to becoming the government?
Oh, the president of our parliament is from Iran.
The president of
The Norwegian parliament is from Iran. He never wanted to answer if he has dual citizenship. I don't think you should be able to hold a position like that if you have dual citizenship. And you go on vacations to Iran.
Well, I mean, you can't beat it, especially this time of year. No. So that's disheartening. The Norwegian parliament, you say the president?
The president of the parliament. So we have a monarchy. So we have a king and queen, and then we have the parliament, our prime minister. So the president of the parliament is not necessarily, like, he doesn't run the country, but he runs the parliament. So he holds a high position within the parliament.
This is fascinating. The president of the Norwegian parliament, is this the guy you're talking about? Masud Gharahkhani?
Yes.
That is Norwegian to a T, that name.
Very Norwegian, right? And okay, so I couldn't find my document, so I'm going to translate this underway. Like, this is it's a myth of the Pakistanis in Norway. You asked me about when did this happen, right? When did this start, this whole invasion of Europe? Mm-hmm. And if you go back in the archives and you look at the newspaper and the police statements back in the 60s, they are very different to what they are today, because we're not allowed to talk about ethnicity anymore, or religion, right?
Oh yeah, you don't even know who's doing the bombing. It might be Sven.
It's always Sven. So the thing is that our media in Norway, they try to convince people that the Pakistanis came to Norway as workers and built our nation.
Oh yeah, because Norway's a brand new nation, like in the last couple of generations. Tops.
Right. So in let's see, 2016, one of our main newspapers said that the Pakistanis that came to Norway in the late 60s was young, hardworking men that came because there was we were asking for labor. No such thing ever happened. It's a lie. They are lying. Our king is lying about this in his speeches. It is a myth and a lie that people now think is true. It's not true. It's not true at all. If you go back into the archives, because we entered the our oil age in 1969, right? The first Pakistanis came to Norway 68, I think. I think it was 14 Pakistanis. No, actually already in the 70s.
So basically your founding fathers arrived on the scene in the 60s. Sorry.
That's cruel.
That was cruel.
That's cruel.
Can we when you're done with that, I want to talk about Britain if we can.
Oh, of course we can.
Because I want you to talk to me about some of the things that I saw you post, but go ahead.
Oh, of course. So June 8th, 1971, it says that the Pakistani came here on tourist visas, and they were just living in the streets looking for work and shelter. And they couldn't keep a job because they didn't know the language. And they tried to figure out how to get these Pakistanis back. In 1968, okay, so there were more of them. 1968, it was a group of 20 to 30 Pakistanis that created a headache for Norwegian government. Because they came here on false premises. Because what we today would call a human trafficker, right? Like you pay someone to get you here on false premises. That's what happened in 1968. And that person, the Scotland Yard was actually involved in this case, and that person just went off the face of the earth, by the way, that human trafficker. So, and they keep becoming more and more people. I'm going to find, let's see, 3 years later, 1971, they were still in our streets. They tried to talk about how to return them, but they came through West Germany, by the way. So they kept coming through
From the
Germany,
West.
from West Germany. So this gives you an idea, right? Because who was the one that wanted to break the Dublin Agreement to just place immigrants all over Europe coming to Germany?
Gosh, yes. Hold on. Oh my gosh, you're making me remember all sorts of stuff.
You like conspiracies? Here is your conspiracy.
Okay, all right, here we go. Conspiracy time.
Yeah, so how did that happen? Already in late 60s, early 70s, West Germany was feeding Pakistanis to Norway on false premises. How did that happen? You have any ideas, Keith?
I don't want to answer this one. You tell me.
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know. So, okay, by 1973, the Pakistani colony had grown to, hold on to your hat, 2,000 individuals. From 20 to 30 in 1968, 2,000 individuals in 1973.
Oh.
And
So
already,
you're right. This has been going on a lot longer than I suggested.
In 1975, they were 9,000. Okay, 73, 2,000. 75, 9,000. So you can see how this is growing. And in 1976, Pakistani Workers' Welfare Union wanted a mosque in Norway.
Okay.
And how has that gone for us? How has that gone for us? That was just a little recap. But this started long before the European Union. And
right.
from what I can tell, they're just doing the exact same thing they did before the European Union.
Well then, so okay, I was looking up. My gosh, I don't know where to go next. Can we? At some point, we have to talk about. I think Sweden specifically. The constant climb in rapes and who is responsible for them, because it's just endemic. I don't know if you have any stats there, or maybe you can find some, but I read an article recently about Sweden. I should have kept that and had it for this conversation. But my goodness, it's this is where I go and I say, how are they not marching in the streets? And I know there are some, but I mean everybody should be marching in the streets for what's happening to these nations on that continent. I don't know if you have those numbers, but I remembered a story that you told my boss, Glenn Beck, when you were here a couple years back. What is happening to? Because weren't you talking to him about Ireland and what was happening to people in their houses and being forced out to have immigrants there and take over what is that all about?
Yeah,
I'm having you go all over the continent. Sorry.
That is a story on its own. If anybody's worse off, is actually the Irish. They're horrible to the Irish.
So the government is kicking people out of their houses to have places to house
They made
immigrants?
a law that can, and they tried to implement this in the U. So you need to keep in mind that they do different things in different nation states, right? All over the West to test different things out. This they did this in Berlin as well, I think it was. Hold on, let me find that actually, because that will paint this picture perfectly.
And while you do that, something else, and you don't have to remember all of these. So here's on your to-do list right now. See, we really planned ahead, didn't we, all? Sweden rape stats, Irish housing, and I saw a tweet of yours. I was just scrolling through your feed there. All the cheese now in Norway you posted is
Oh God, yes.
halal. Oh God, make it stop. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're adjusting. So we, the general population, we don't mean anything to these people. They say that they want to change. They wanted to change the cheese because it would make it edible for everybody, right? Well, I don't eat that. And then they say it's because of now vegetarians can eat our cheese. Vegetarians already eat cheese. Okay? Vegans don't eat cheese. So I don't care. Kosher, halal, no. I want rennet in my cheese. If I can't have it, I'm not going to buy it. I'm telling you, Italy is going to get a lot of my money.
That's another T-shirt you need to make yourself. I want rennet in my cheese. I don't even know what rennet is, but yeah, I understand.
It's the micro stuff they use from the cow's belly to actually grow the cheese.
Honestly, I really did not need that definition. Thank
you,
Rebecca.
Worse off, it's like there's terror chicken everywhere now. Like
who? What? Hold on. What now? Chicken?
I just call it terror chicken.
Terror chicken. Explain what that
Halal chicken. So we as consumers have to pay more for chicken now because some imam is gonna sacrifice it to Allah, pointing to the sky and you know. I don't want to eat a sacrifice to Allah. I'm gonna try not to swear again because I'll.
So and I honestly do not know the answer to this question, and clearly I'm coming from a naive point of view here. But how prevalent throughout the continent, if you know, is the audible morning prayer call in cities? I know it's happening a lot in Minneapolis. Sometimes I put on Minnesota Twins games just to try to see if I can hear it in the background. But anyway.
I think maybe France has had some. I wonder if Belgium had a project, or was it a town in Sweden? I can't remember. It's not all over, but they're trying to make it happen. Yeah. And frankly, halal food is the first step to adjust the country to Sharia. It's a part of the Sharia law, right? You have to eat this food and you have to wipe in this way when you go to the toilet. And it's all these. I understand why the EU like it so much, because it's like you control the details.
Right. Right. 100%. Socialism and that brand of Islam definitely have a lot.
They have a lot in common.
I gotta go back though. I'm sorry. What was this about the bathroom?
Oh, they have to wipe a certain way or something. I don't know. They have all these weird rules for every little thing that you do. But food is an important one. See, this was my point about the cheese. Even though no imam has screamed at the cheese, it's still, I find it offensive. Because they tell us that, well, you can just eat anything. So we'll just adjust you to the Muslim because the Muslim doesn't want to adjust to the country he came to.
It's COVID. Everybody's got to adjust to those.
Yeah, no. I'm not eating, not that I eat chicken to begin with, but I'm definitely not eating chicken anymore. I'm not going to have any. And this is what really pisses me off, because I found out this the year before last. When they have too much halal butchered, they just put it in normal packaging. I want to know if what I eat has been sacrificed to a different God, because my God wouldn't allow, actually says in the Bible you shouldn't eat food sacrificed to another God. If you want to play the religious game, it's on, baby. It's on. So talking about like...
Wow, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that Deuteronomy was going to be a part of today's show.
I'm just saying, if you want to play that game with me, I can play. But it's just like, you don't adjust the majority to the minority that comes here and exploits us and hates us and stabs us and rapes us and kills us. No. If you want to come here, you eat our food. You adjust to us.
And this is what is so shocking, because what you just laid out is, it's factual. It's happening.
Yes.
What is more shocking than that, because that's shocking on its face, but that's what conquerors do. What's shocking is that the governments that are just hand in hand letting this happen to their nations. It's shocking, man. I don't have another word for it.
And people don't take to the streets. They don't. And you must
Why is that?
understand,
Is
at
it
least
just docile cultures? What's going on here? Where's the Viking spirit, yo?
it's dead, Keith. It's dead. Maybe you find it in the UK and in Ireland, but you can't find it here. That's for sure. The thing is that you must also understand that the Scandinavian countries are, they still are, and it baffles me, but for years has been a high trust society. We're very gullible for the government. It's always been high trusted. It's been great countries to live in. It's been peaceful and nice, and it's we take care of each other, and the state has taken care of people. And now that we have immigration, our system is being exploited, and we have violence. It's not like we didn't have murders and rapes and violence to begin with, which I hear often is an argument. Well, Norwegian people can be criminal too. Yeah,
That's
does
the
that
thing.
mean that we should import criminals though?
That's the thing here.
Like
We
really?
have our own murderers and rapists. We don't need open borders to allow every other murderer and rapist free access to our country.
Yeah.
We got our own. We don't need more. Okay, so Britain. Britain is constantly in the news. Um, it seems like there's a good pushback there, but is it also too little, too late?
Um, you're asking you're asking difficult questions.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think so for Britain as well as Europe in general. I think there's two things that needs to happen for it to be savageable, and that is closing the border and remigration. Those are the two things that can save Europe. And also, of course, we need to exchange every single politician in power at the moment, but that's a longer process.
Mm-hmm.
Close the border and remigration. If you can go on holiday to the nation that you came from, you can go live there. And I am always baffled also by this argument that we don't, so this is a big thing in Norway. We can't just move children. Yeah, they cheated to get here, but the kids had gone to school here for 3 years and we can't just move. Dude, they traveled all the way here with their children. They used to live over there. How is it okay to drag children across the entire continent to come here, but you can't return them because then the children has to travel? They're more they're more into their parents' culture than they are ours. In fact,
Yeah,
second and
right.
third generation Muslims are more radical than their parents.
Say that again.
Second and third generation Muslims are more radical than their parents. They're more criminal as well,
Supposed to
if
go
you
the other
wonder.
way. Once
Yes.
you go to a free society, you're supposed to. Okay, well that's neat.
So go home. I mean, what's stopping you?
Okay, I got two more questions here for you. Number one, anywhere on that continent, is there someone that even, and he doesn't really have an equal, but is there someone that compares to a Donald Trump? Let's shut the borders down. Let's put America first. Is there someone for Europe or anywhere, maybe in your country of Norway,
No,
anybody that is bold enough to just call a spade a spade? No.
no, there's not.
What about that
If you,
Nigel Farage guy over in Britain? Has he got a chance to do anything over? Oh no, I don't like that look.
oh
Okay,
hell no.
okay,
Oh no, he's goody two shoes, and he
yeah,
turns where the wind turns. And he don't, frankly, he doesn't have the spine to say it. He doesn't even want to talk about immigration.
really?
Yeah.
What's okay? Well,
I mean, is reform an option for the UK? Yes, definitely. But I think reform loses massively with trying to ride two horses at once. And this is the problem of all semi-progressive parties on the right wing when they try to get into power is because they want. So it's like that, those girls that are like pick me girls, pick me, like me, please like me, pick me. It's kind of like that. And you're turning towards the left who will never like you regardless of what you do, okay? They will never forgive you, they will never embrace you, they will never accept you, and they for sure as hell will never like you. Not gonna happen, okay? Even if you turned around and said, I'm a man now, well, if I did that, well, I'm a dude now, I identify as a man, they would still shun me, okay, from what I've said in the past.
Oh, I see.
But these progressive right-wing parties, they're trying to be liked by people that are never going to like them. They're trying to capture these people that deem themselves classy and intelligent, and at the same time, capture the grassroots that is actually willing to do something about the problem, which all the other groups look down upon because they're thugs or right wing or whatever you want to call them. And that's the problem, because they've been dividing and conquering for so long that we've been categorizing each other for so long. There is a divide between right and left, for sure it is. But I don't think Nigel Farage or Reform have anything to win upon trying to please self-righteous people. Like, why would you do that? Don't you have a country to clean? Is it more important who likes you? Like, do you want something done? Or like, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. You're gonna have to get a bully. You're gonna need a Donald Trump. Does everybody like Donald Trump? No. Is he a bully? Yes. Does he speak out of his ass a lot of the time? Yeah, and I love him for that. He's a perfect bully. Who's a great presidential candidate? J.D. Vance, the perfect candidate for presidency, right? But how can you pave the way for J.D. Vance if you don't have a Trump first? And when your country is so in the shits, you need a Donald Trump. But nobody has the spine to do it because they're afraid they won't get liked by the people that will never like them.
And I will say that I know the term pick me girl because my 17-year-old daughter has explained that to me within the last I don't know, few months or so. And however, the latest phrase that she's using, and she uses it to describe me because I guess I've been stopping at McDonald's a little too often lately. She calls me a big back. So whatever, right? Okay, I don't know. Anybody else know that term? A big back?
I don't know what a big bank is.
I guess someone who eats at fast food joints too often. Sorry.
Ooh.
Okay, so what do you think about what are Europe's prospects based on what you know now? You can't predict the future. We've established that there's not a Donald Trump that you see on the horizon. But where do you see your continent in 5, 10, 20 years?
It's impossible to predict, to be honest, but this is what I want to happen. And I think the best chance of happening is if there is such a figure as Donald Trump within the European continent, he's going to be in the East Bloc of Europe because they actually have spine and the guts to do something about it. We have Viktor Orban, you have several Polish politicians, Romanian politicians, that they're not afraid to say what they need to say. And keep in mind that the EU had the election in Romania annulled because it didn't go the way they wanted to. So they made up some Russian collusion bullshit to annul the country's election. So they have a new election now in May. That aside, that is the part of Europe, any sort of, if there is such a thing as a savior to Europe that can come in and make Europe great again, I think it's out of there somewhere that person will emerge. And I think that Eastern European countries, if they see the value in it, are the ones to save Western Europe. So it can go two ways. It could be a full caliphate, the global what do you call it? Global infada? Yes. Or we've been saved by the East Bloc of Europe. So it's an open path. I don't know where we're going right now. Looking at the EU and looking at what they're doing with pushing more of this green industry bullshit, putting more loaned money into it and driving the European Union to bankruptcy, which probably is a good thing because it will mean that it will have to dissolve and, we can start working on our nation states. That is probably the third path to making Europe great again, is to have the grassroots come up and, build our communities and our nation state again, and actually come together instead of fighting over Trump being evil, because that's what happened. That is what is happening right now. Trump is now the enemy. We have a bunch of people in our country going out into the media saying that our greatest ally, United States, is now a threat to us. You do realize that we border to Russia? Like now we've poked the bear and now we're slapping Orange Man and we're in the middle and we have no defense. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it's sure as hell is not good. I can tell you that. I wanted to highlight one thing though before we go, Keith, because I found there was a new study in the beginning of January saying that 63.1% of all rapists that has been convicted in Sweden has a foreign background, by the way. Convicted, yes. So this is a study, so it's not completely accurate, but it is, I think it's more like 80%.
Yeah, okay.
Also, there was a case from last year.
Just some horrific stuff that you just see.
Yeah, last year the police, they didn't have time to investigate rapes, so that puts that into perspective. Convicted rapes, right? So they don't have time to investigate rapes anymore. And you have categories of rapes as well. You have the degrading type of rape that happens from immigrant what do you call it? Adolescents, men, boys, raping other boys, filming with objects, filming it, putting it online as sort of like a humiliation thing.
Yes.
That happens. That happens more frequently than you would like to think about. I can promise you that. And then you have the gang rapes, which is also a huge problem. I think the worst one I read was a girl that walked naked from this building after being raped by 17 different men and sought shelter in a tube station. These cases are horrific, Keith. This is Sweden. They're horrible. They happen here in Norway as well. And they don't discriminate their victims, You can be a 40-year-old woman going home from work at 4:00 in the afternoon and being attacked, raped, or you can go home from having a few beers at a bar late evening through the park and being attacked, raped in Oslo. That is every season, every summer, attack rapes happens. They stopped keeping stats of this, and we already know that close to 100% of these rapists are immigrants or have an immigrant background from the Middle East or North Africa. So they just stopped keeping stats, and now it's gone so far they don't really tell us there's a rapist out there anymore either. So,
that's helpful.
Very helpful.
And these are nations where the population isn't walking around armed.
Oh no, we're not allowed even pepper spray.
Oh, what?
No.
Oh, God.
We're not allowed to defend ourselves.
It's like the perfect storm. You're gullible. And I mean this with all due respect. I mean, that was your word.
No, I get it.
You're gullible. You're not armed. You have this nanny state that needs to be provided for through, what, I guess a tax base. And third world comes in handy there. And you've got a violent culture. So this invasion happens. And you've got the worst, the stuff that I just cannot get over. The element of this, the ingredient in this cake that I just cannot get over is how the governments of all of these locations, all of these countries are just like, look, what are you going to do? Make the cheese for everybody, I guess. Make everybody like the Muslim cheese.
If you defend yourself, you will be convicted.
I mean, that's tragic. Okay, so one last question. I lied. I'm not out of questions. I have one more. Do you think, so it's two parts. One is, do you think that the European Union is on a path to dissolve? And then the other question is, do you think that the only hope for Europe is for the EU to dissolve? Sorry, it's three questions. Even if it does dissolve, who's to say that these individual countries are going to make right by their citizens and fix these laws?
So yes, yes, and yes, because Europe, the European Union is driving Europe into bankruptcy. Um, with Trump in power in the US, they are really desperate right now because the United States isn't following suit. And so that puts Europe alone in the Paris Accord. It also, well, maybe Australia is a part of it still, I don't know. But
Another unarmed culture who is a
yes,
little too gullible.
yeah. So, so yes, I think the EU is down the path of dissolving. I don't think that they have necessarily realized it yet because they're focusing so much on the outer threat being the United States in their eyes. And I think it's really funny. It's not really funny, but I find it kind of funny when Trump says that we're going to pull everything out of Ukraine, you're not going to get any more money from us, and then the European countries are like, well, we'll give money and weapons. Okay, which weapons? We gave everything away already. We have no defense. Like, how are you going to continue a war against Russia? I don't like, are you delusional? Because they are delusional. So eventually it will dissolve. I think that is the way that we can save our nation states. And I do think that by that time, each and every nation states, sorry, don't have an opportunity to hide behind European Union directives and laws anymore. So they will be held accountable by their population. Because imagine when the population finds out there's no pension fund anymore, there's no money anymore, the EU bankrupts everybody, is all violence. No, that's not going to fly anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, the way you talk about Trump and Europe and the relationship there, shame on Europe for not
Yes.
seeing Trump 8 years ago and going, wow, we should probably get our act together. Then they had 4 years of the empty Marxist shell of Joe Biden that they could push around. And
Did you
now,
not know he was the greatest president of all time, according to Europe?
oh my word, what? Who the hell? See, this is it. And so Europe didn't say, hey, look, we should probably take this Trump guy more seriously because he might come back. And oh, has he come back and with a vengeance? And I do not want to get too far ahead of myself here, but you saw last week what J.D. Vance thinks of Europe. And if Europe doesn't get on the same page as American politicians, it could be a very, very long road for that continent going forward. So
JD Vance said what every reasonable European has been thinking for a long time, which is why I thought it was so funny that Babylon Bee was on it like that, saying, oh, Europeans begging JD Vance to be their president. And it's true. Like,
right.
we need somebody like that. But as far as I can tell, at this moment in time, we don't have one. If we have one, he or she, most probably a he, is hiding very well at this moment. So hopefully we'll come out of the woodworks at some point. But
Okay. Well, all the best. There's obviously some common bonds there. I hesitate to say strong anymore. But, we care about Europe. We actually do. We act like we don't, but we do. We don't want to be involved in your crap, but we care about you.
I don't want to be involved in our crap anymore.
I'm not going to fight for you, but I'll say, hey, knock it off over there, if that helps. Okay, Rebecca Mistereggen, she's at Document Media there in Norway. Follow her on X at it's I mean, it's pretty simple. If you just This is like with my last name. People mispronounce them. I just slow down, just look. It sounded out. Malinak. Mr. Egg in. Perfect. Okay.
Like a man and an egg, just one word. Very simple.
There it is. Okay. Thank you to everyone. I'm so sorry for the technical issues on YouTube and it not being live streamed over there. I so appreciate all of the chat involvement over there, and I apologize for our issues. It's like whack-a-mole, Rebecca. It's a different technical issue every week, and it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what kind of technical issue you're gonna get. So tomorrow on the Friday live stream, we got the brothers Alex and David Questa from the Alex Questa Show. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna I have a study about siblings, and I'm gonna put them on the spot, and it's gonna be kind of fun. So anyway, thank you, Rebecca. Looking forward to talking to you again at some point in the future. Everyone, please have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Who the hell knows where? I don't know. Maybe YouTube, but definitely on X at Keith Malinak. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.